How's it going, friends? It's Cameron with Venus Theory, and welcome back to another episode of The Sauce, the show where I talk about gear, plugins, and my own 13 herbs and spices when it comes to music production. In today's video, we're here to check out the new limited edition Cinnamon Coke. It's actually really good stuff, and it's like super addicting. You should really check it out. Seriously though, today we're here to talk about the new Super VHS plugin for my friends over at Baby Audio. They were also recently on this channel with their iHeart-NY compressor, which is an ultra-transparent, very straightforward parallel compression plugin that's just got a couple knobs and is a very quick and easy way to get access to that kind of classic New York compression style sound in your mixes. They've continued this trend with their new plugin, Super VHS, which aims to act as a lo-fi channel strip type of thing. It's got 6 built-in effects, and it's actually a really pretty useful little thing. So today's video is going to be pretty short and to the point, and that's what I like about this plugin. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, there's not a whole lot to it. You just slap it on, twist a couple knobs, and away you go. Super VHS is currently on sale for $29, and I didn't see any information on when that sale ends, so it might be over by the time this video comes out. If that's the case, I'm sorry about that. Otherwise, it's $49. The sale price is a really great deal, and I think even at the full price, it's priced pretty fairly. Although it only has 6 kind of functions to it, I think you would more than get $50 worth of mileage out of this plugin. It's a great little utility just to add a bit of spicy sauce to whatever you throw it on. You know, it has all the classic controls and it's so easy to use that it's just a nice way to slap it on without having to sit there tweaking things for a really long time. So I've cooked up a couple examples inside of DAWg to show off what Super VHS is and what it does and what it can add to your sound, so let's hop in and check it out. Alright, so here we are in DAWg with Super VHS open, and I figured we could first just kind of break down the interface. I'll show you what everything is and what it does, and then we'll walk through some of the examples just to show some of the kind of case uses that I found Super VHS to be really handy for. So this is Super VHS right here. Like the other Baby Audio plugins, I think the interface is really well laid out, and I really like the kind of skeuomorphism thing going on here. It just kind of looks like an actual hardware rack unit of some kind, but it's really well designed. Other than that, you know, everything's really straightforward. It's just, you know, here, and here, and that's, you know, that's it. That's all there is to it, and I really like that kind of simplicity. So to kick things off, up in the top left, we have mix here, which allows us to mix this in, so you can use this in parallel, which is pretty handy. Down here, we have heat, which is an analog saturator. This is a really fantastic sounding little distortion. In the center here, we have magic, which is kind of an ensemble stereo chorus effect. It's not quite like the, you know, Juno or Roland choruses, but it's something, you know, in that similar vein. This one sounds maybe a bit darker and maybe just a bit more liquidy if I had to describe it. It's kind of hard, but I'll show it here in another example. To the right of that, we have drift, which is our warble or, you know, kind of tape fluctuation effect. So this just affects the pitch. It doesn't affect the volume, at least that I could tell. If it does, it's got to be in a super subtle amount. But yeah, this is just some kind of pitch drift control, which is really nice. The out here is the output gain. So you can get pretty crazy with Super VHS. So it's nice to have that just to dial it back when needed. Down here in the lower left, we have static, which is a noise generator. If I turn this up, this is what it sounds like. Now, I think that's actually a really nice sounding noise generator, but my only thing with it is it produces a tone, and in some cases that was kind of hard to work with because it made me feel like I was playing out of tune or something. So it would be nice to see that kind of as another option, maybe just to get rid of the tone, but we'll talk about that stuff in a minute. In the center here, we have wash, which is kind of a dirty reverb effect. It just sounds like a lot of the kind of 80s rack units, but maybe just a cheaper one, but really nice, big reverb. It's not the biggest, most expansive reverb ever, but it does exactly kind of what it needs to do to give you that kind of lo-fi junky reverb sound. Finally, here in the lower right, we have shape, which is a sample rate reduction / bit crushing type effect, which actually sounds really nice and adds quite a bit of crunch to things. So let's go ahead and close this guy out and we can talk about these 3 different examples that I made. So first up, I've got this little loop I made in addictive drums, and this is probably my favorite thing about Super VHS is the saturation. So check out the difference this makes. So this is just the little addictive drums loop by itself. Not really the most exciting thing ever, a very dry, very kind of standard drum sound, but check out what happens when you add Super VHS here. So all I've done here is just crank up the heat quite a bit. I added a bit of drift and just a little tiny touch of the wash, and this makes this drum loop hit so hard. It's awesome. I just love the little bit of breakup this adds. It adds such a nice bit of weight and crunch to drums. And if you really, really smash the heat, it instantly gives me this kind of like broken, cheap cassette vibe, and I really, really love that about it. One extra thing I would have liked to see in this is some kind of compressor, because this distortion with just a nice kind of squishy glue compressor after it sounds insanely good. So I've got PSP bus presser here, which is kind of like an SSL style compressor, but not really. So if I have this disabled, this is what we got. But when you turn on this compressor here, and mind you, I'm going pretty hard here. This is like 4.5 to 1, very quick on the attack and release, and I'm smashing this quite a bit, and the sound you get is just so crunchy. So I would have loved to see some kind of just end of signal chain compressor thing thrown into Super VHS, but not really missing it because, you know, everybody has compressors that can do something similar, but that together is just kind of a magic combination for me. So next up, I've got this little keys loop here, and this is another area I think Super VHS really shines in, is just adding a very, very subtle touch of kind of flavor crunchy lo-fi-ness. And this is really something that I think a lot of lo-fi plugins don't really do well, is do things subtly. You know, a lot of them tend to go way overboard with it. So I've got this keys loop here. This is what it sounds like. So just a very standard kind of chill hop keys thing. And then I've added Super VHS here and just done a couple little tweaks. I did a little bit of heat, medium-ish amount of drift, and a good degree of the wash. And something about whatever wash does is just magical on kind of mellow, Rhodesy sounds, or like, I don't know, warm synth pads and things like that. I just really like this reverb on those types of sounds. And I just added a little touch of static here. And just that little tiny bit of noise makes all the difference in the world. So this is with the Super VHS applied. So without it, and bring it back in. And it's just a really nice, super subtle thing. And just that heat, again, it really just warms things up in a very nice way. But when you combine just that little bit of heat with the wash control, you just get this really nice kind of gooey, chill sound to things. It just rounds it out in a really nice way, especially kind of the lower mid region. So as a final demonstration, you can't really talk about Super VHS without making some kind of big 80s synth wavy type pad. So I opened up Rapid here and just did kind of a classic saw pad sound with a nice 24 decibel per octave filter. Just a really kind of standard, you know, 80s pad type sound. And without Super VHS on it, sounds like this. So when we enable Super VHS here, I've done quite a few things, and you'll notice there's a lot of noise. So to combat that, what I did is just throw a gate on the end here, and that just kind of chills everything out a little bit. So I've got heat up just a bit. We could actually probably stand to move that up just a bit higher. The magic is that nice, wide, wet ensemble chorus. Drift is up pretty high here. Wash is just cranked. And I've used quite a bit of the static here, which just adds a lot of characters this pad plays. So let's go ahead and take a listen with Super VHS applied. And to me, that is just a magical sound. I really love when you kind of overdo it with Super VHS. It's a pretty cool plugin for that type of effect. And it reminds me a lot of one of my other favorites, which is Bad Tape from Denise. And this guy is just kind of the same concept in a different way. And it's just, like I said, it's whatever that heat and wash do together, it just sounds really, really smooth. And then you throw in that magic button for that nice kind of cheesy ensemble chorus thing, and it's just a really cool plugin to add a lot of flavor without a lot of tedious tweaking and too many knobs syndrome. Overall, I think it's a really, really solid plugin, and like I said, it's just a nice little utility that does a thing. And I would like to see a few controls added, and this isn't really a complaint because I like what Baby Audio is doing. I like this idea of here's a thing that does this, and it's just got a handful of controls. There's no presets, it's just here's a couple functions, throw this on and see what they do and use it. And I really, really like that approach because like I said, that whole too many knobs syndrome can be really overwhelming, but also just be a big time waster because it's really easy to sit there and obsess over tweaking a bunch of little things and then you don't actually end up getting anything done. So I actually messaged the developers with just a couple of notes I had on this plugin when I was initially checking it out, and I didn't really have a way to effectively come up with like what I want out of this plugin. But after a bit of thinking, this is kind of my thought here. So we have Super VHS, and like I said, I really like the layout. I think it makes a lot of sense. But I would like to see some expanded controls here, like the drift, maybe a drift speed control, the wash, maybe we could have, you know, something else going on with that, with maybe just an overall decay time type of thing, or just maybe some tonal shaping controls. The static, I would love to see a oscillator on off button, or maybe just a volume blend for the tone. The shape, I would really love to see a filter added to this, because if I enable this here and play this, that can be a bit overwhelming as well. So I'd really like a filter added there, and just some other kind of little tiny tweaks like that. And like I said, maybe just an end of chain compressor. But I thought about it, and what my thought is on this is maybe there should be a way to click like the Super VHS, and this whole thing would maybe kind of like turn around, and on the back of it, kind of like in Reason, there's some more fine tuning dials. I think that would really open up this effect in particular to be a lot more usable in every case, rather than in cases where it does work, because sometimes it just doesn't because of some of these factors that it doesn't include. So I'd really like to see some expanded options in the future. Outside of that, like I said, my favorite thing about this is that heat control. It is a fantastic sounding saturation. I would really love to see Baby Audio take on some kind of channel strip processor with that inside of it. Like if I could get a SSL style compressor with that heat control and just a couple, like maybe a 4-band EQ or something like that, and just a handful of other little nice controls, I would really love to see some kind of channel strip from Baby Audio, because I feel like I would really fall in love with that. So yeah, that's really all there is to Super VHS. I think it's a really nice utility plugin that does a thing and does it well. It's very quick and easy to use. There's not a lot of clutter. The interface is really pretty to look at. And the sound of it, when it does kind of all come together in that right way, is just really something special. Like I said, the heat and the magic and the wash in particular, just once that balance hits, when you tweak it just the right way, it's just really something special that I love on, big pads and keys and stuff. But, that distortion, like I said, on drums and stuff, damn, that sounds good. And that's it for this video. So big shout out again to Baby Audio for hooking me up with Super VHS. I think it's a nice little utility plugin, and I really love that heat knob. It just adds something special, especially to drums. I don't know what it is about it, but it is just fantastic. So yeah, if you want to pick it up for yourself, you can find more information with the link down in the description below. Other than that, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys again soon.